Well, welcome back, my friends, to another episode of Automotive Drama. Like always, I'll keep the preamble short. Likes are nice, scribes are better, questions, comments, feel free, and ring the bell if you want to watch more episodes. Now, today I got this GM Cadillac catastrophe design, and I'm replacing the front valve cover gasket. Okay, there's a brace that comes across here. It's laying right there. There's two bolts on this side, and there's two bolts on this side. You're going to have to take this bolt off, these bolts off down here. There's four inside here, then there's one here, and one on that side, and then this whole thing loosens up, and there's two bolts on the very bottom. Now when you get those two bolts on the bottom out, you're going to have to lift this thing up in order to get that out. As you can see, I kind of lifted it up. I took it out because it's just, I'm not going to fight around it. It took a minute to get it out, but it's so much easier to get the valve cover out. And of course, always when you're taking them apart, start on the far corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you take the bolts out, across 5, 6, and leave the center two in last, and then reverse the order. Now, in order to get this valve cover off, you're going to have to pull, where is it? Oh, let me see, over here. You're going to have to pull the water pump tensioner. It's really simple. There's a bracket that goes over, there's a cover that goes over it, there's a bolt here, and there's two bolts here, and there's studs. And the studs hold this, and then that cover that's sitting right there goes over the top of it. It's pretty simple. Now, that pulley, I have a special tool for that pulley, and it wasn't pulling it. So I showed you a previous video how to get this thing out. So what I had to do is I had to take a die grinder and cut a slot in it where, be careful too, don't cut too far. You don't want to dig into the end of the cam. To where it put a split in it, where it just opened it up just a little bit right there. You see that? And then I was able to put the puller on it, and it came right off like it should. I was hitting on it so hard I didn't want to go any harder because these things are notorious for breaking off right here. If you could see what a cheap cast it is anyways. A super cheap casting. So you got to be very careful. You don't want to snap that off, because then you're taking the valve cover off, the timing cover off, loosening up the tensioner, and replacing the camshaft, and you don't want to do that. That's pretty much it. This one was leaking, actually. As you can see, I didn't touch it. I cleaned off the outside. Make sure you always clean the outer edges before you take these apart, so grub doesn't fall in that super clean engine. This one's really nice. And this gasket, even though it's sticking out a little bit, it was still leaking. And the reason it's leaking is because it's held down by these rubber grommets, which they're right in here. You have to replace these, which comes, make sure you get the valve cover set. Now, before you even try to pull that off, make sure you pull this seal out. This goes on the end right here. It's the seal for the camshaft right here, so that it doesn't leak out, and that's behind this pulley that doesn't want to come off, or didn't want to come off. But yeah, I got a lot of years experience with stuck parts, so, and I got the tools to get them off, so I did, and I didn't really hurt anything, thank God. It would have sucked if I had put a camshaft in it. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Automotive Drama. Stay tuned for more episodes, and have a good night, my friends.